Now you might be in a position whereby you're looking for your first OnlyFans creator, maybe you're looking for a replacement creator because you're just not vibing with your current one-on-ones, or maybe you're just looking to scale your agency. Regardless, searching for creators can be difficult, and it's really important that you understand what the perfect creator is and how to go about recruiting them. First and foremost, I want to bring it back to a little bit of a public image thing. Now, if you've watched our course or you've watched any of my other videos, you without doubt know the importance of a public image, and we reference this a lot, and you might hear me bang on about it, but the way that you're perceived by the public and by the Karens that don't understand is really, really, really important if you want to scale to the 6, 7, 8 figure mark. So if you're a Western agency, in reality, you probably want to work with Western models. It's not to say that you can't, and it's not to say that it's gonna cause you a problem, because if you've got everything in order, well, there's nothing wrong with it. For example, we're a UK agency. We don't really like the idea of bringing creators in from Eastern Europe, bringing creators in from the streets of South America. It just doesn't align with our public image. It doesn't align with who we stand to present ourselves as. But that's a very case dependent scenario, and it's really difficult for me to sit here and judge that situation without understanding the context. So we'll push that to one side and look on more of a generic scenario. You might presume that I'm going to say the best creator is the most beautiful one with the best assets. You want to see great tits, you want to see a huge ass, you want to see a pretty face, you want to see long perfect hair. But actually, to be honest, those things are void. Every creator has their own selling point in their own way. Now, it might be their visual assets, but it also might be their personality, or the way they carry themselves, or the way that they dress, or what they're into and their hobbies and interests. Everyone has a selling point, and frankly, the weird and wonderfuls are often what sell better because there's less competition. How many beautiful creators are there? How many great pairs of tits are on OnlyFans? How many huge asses are on OnlyFans? But how many weird, quirky, goth gamer girls? How many hairy e-girls are there? You know, these kind of quirky, weird and wonderful brands are often what will actually do better for the creator and for yourself as an agency indirectly there than just some great assets and a pretty face. So with that said, don't get caught up on the visuals. If they have a beautiful face, great ass and great tits, it's going to be a really easy time getting guys interested because they have a beautiful face, great ass and great tits. But it's also important to consider that that's not the only thing to look for, so don't get blinded by it. There are 3 key things that I want you to look for when you're searching for the perfect model. Number 1 is an open mind. If they're open-minded and don't have a resistance to trying new things and coming up with new wacky ideas, that ultimately is where the gold is. And for the most part, that can actually be where the turning points and the huge, fantastic case study, 1K into 400K a month case studies can come from. And in fact, if I reflect back on the history of TDM, well, some of our best case studies were simply just a change of brand, and they went from 1K to 300K a month, or 2K to 400K a month, or whatever the case study is, just off changing their brand, opening their mind and doing something different. So one of the first things you want to look for is an open mind and no resistance to your ideas, because if they've onboarded with your agency, a lot of the typical creators that we mentioned with the beautiful face, the huge tits, the amazing ass, you know, they're going to have pretty typical strategies as well. They're probably going to want to do a lot of sales and bundles and discounts and transactional bullshit like spin the wheels, and it's just not going to check out in the same way. So really, really focus on looking for someone with an open mind and no resistance to do things differently. The second thing that I want you to look at kind of correlates to this in some regard, and it's just a willingness to learn and adapt. They might already have something good going on, but they might need to adapt it or trial a new strategy to really see it blossom. And that's where you as an agency can bring a lot of value, because you can say, look, you know, you're an amazing creator with a beautiful brand. I love the gamer girl, but you're just not performing in the right way on TikTok, or you're just not taking advantage of the right platforms, or you're getting caught up trying to do this, and in fact you should be doing this. And if they say, no, I do it this way, I don't want to do it any different, well, that's not really the perfect creator, because they're going to get caught up in the same bullshit that they're currently in, and you're going to get left behind because you're going to be wasting time with someone that's not really willing to learn and adapt to your strategies. So a creator that's willing to learn, willing to adapt, willing to change, or at the very least willing to hear you out and have a go, that's a really important trait. Third and finally, and it might sound simple, it's just a good relationship. It's good vibes. When you get on the phone, which is admittedly after you've scouted them, so you're going to have to do a little bit of due diligence into who this person is, and you're going to have a feel for it with the conversation. Or if you escalate to the phone call, try and learn this pretty quickly. are they the kind of good fit for you? Are your personalities going to bond, or are they going to clash? If they're going to bond, then it's going to be a really good relationship, and that's going to allow for them to probably work harder because they're more motivated, and it's going to offer much better results on the account. If you guys don't get on, it's going to run into headaches. You're potentially going to clash, you're potentially going to argue, and it's just not going to be a great scenario in the long run. It's not going to offer the longevity, it's not going to offer the retention, and ultimately if things don't go well, your reputation's on the line, and that's something you've really got to think about. So if you've jumped on the phone and you've had a chat and there's red flags there, and you don't think this is the kind of creator you want to work with, you've got to be pretty harsh on yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do this because this isn't going to be a good relationship. You've got to have a feel for it, and you've got to make a judgment call. So we know what the perfect creator is. Now we have to go about actually going out and recruiting them, because it's all well and good idealizing who we're going to work with, but if we're not working with them, we ain't getting paid. So now we know what we're looking for, we can go out into the market and we can begin to scout different recruitment strategies. Now, there are so many ways, you can kind of in some way recruit from any angle. You can hop onto dating apps, you can recruit in real life, you can head over to Seeking, you can do all sorts. But in reality, I think there are a few key methods that you want to look at. Above all else, you're going to need confidence. If you haven't got that, it doesn't matter how good anything else is, you're not going to close the deals. You need the confidence to be able to close. And that's something that you'll learn by watching the live sales call. There's a link to that on the page here. You can check it out and you can go and watch that live right now. And that's going to give you a lot of value in terms of understanding how to pitch that call, how to be confident on the phone, and how to structure that phone call. But number one is going to be Instagram outreach. Now, it is without doubt saturated. In fact, without doubt oversaturated. But so is the OnlyFans management space. And that doesn't seem to stop me making any money, and it doesn't mean it can stop you making any money. Just because something's saturated does not mean you can't earn anymore. So Instagram outreach is still going to be my number one, just surely because it costs zero. It's super, super, super easy to do. And you can even automate it for literally like $2 to $3 an hour. So I would start outreaching to creators, and I would say something very, very simple that spikes curiosity. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can either do it on your personal, or you can do it on your agency page. Now, I would do it on both because you're going to maximize the outreach. But the way that you're going to do it's going to be really, really different. If it's a personal account, it needs to be something that's a little more relaxed. It needs to be something that's a little more chilled. You don't want to go in looking too professional because it kind of just weirds them out. You want to be very chilled and self-confident. So something just like, hey, what are you doing later? Or hey, have you got 5 minutes later? Something that's going to make them think, yeah, why? Yeah, I'm free, what do you want? They're going to start to think like, why does this guy want my attention? And it's going to get them to hit you back and say, yeah, I'm free, what's up? Or like, why do you want my attention, kind of thing. In which case you can then say, look, I think there's a great opportunity. You've got a hell of a lot of potential, and I know for a fact that you're not maximizing it. Let's jump on the phone and have a chat about what we can do. No pressure, it would be good to chat. Or something like, if you're open-minded, leave me a number. I've got a really good opportunity. And you can almost just kind of spike the curiosity and get the number out of them in that manner. But from an agency perspective, it needs to be more professionally written. It needs to be more of a corporate layout. It needs to look like it's come from an agency. You definitely don't want it to sound robotic, and you don't want to send them a super long paragraph telling them what you offer and what they're going to benefit from. And you definitely don't want to pitch about how much money they're going to make, because that will just piss them off. Instead, you want to say something like, hey, are you currently working with an agency? They're often going to hit you back and they're going to say no, or they might say yes, in which case you can ask them how it's going, and you can kind of dig out what they were unhappy about, and you can almost use that to pitch. If they come back and say, yeah, it's going well, but the chats aren't being answered, well, you pitch on the chatting service that you offer. Or if they say, I just don't really feel like I know what I'm doing in marketing, you can pitch on your marketing services, so you can still go down that route. But if they come back and they say no, well, that's when you sort of make them feel like they're missing out. You'd sort of give them a little bit of a FOMO. You'd say, well, why not? Like, have you not thought about the value that they can bring? Have you not thought about what could be possible if you had a 24-hour English chatting team, if you had a complex marketing strategy that allowed us to take care of constant inflow of new subs? You can kind of, again, create a little bit of a fear to missing out, and that ultimately will spike their curiosity enough to think, okay, I might jump on the phone, in which case you then hit them up with the same line that says something like, if you're open-minded, leave your number and I'll have our onboarding director give you a call. Something simple, but something effective. Now, what we've just discussed is the actual dialogue. Unfortunately for most, they don't get to that stage because their profiles just simply aren't good enough. If you've got a profile with no social proof, not really many followers, not many posts, you kind of just look like a creep, and it doesn't really go down very well. If you've got a good amount of followers, it doesn't need to be fake, but most people's are fake anyway. So if you've got 200 followers, well, fuck it, buy 2,000. It doesn't make a difference. But more importantly, buy into a little bit of social proofing. So if you're in the adult entertainment space and you want to sign creators, well, being followed by creators is going to be really, really, really useful. If they've seen your message and they click on your profile and they see, oh, followed by my friend. Oh, followed by my friend again. Oh, there's another big creator. There's an agency. There's another OnlyFans girl. Wow, look at all these people that follow this guy. They're going to instantly start to think, okay, cool, this is legit. There's some social proof here. I'm going to hit them back and see what they've got to offer. If you couple a heavily social proofed page with some interesting posts and a message that sparks curiosity, you're going to have a pretty high response rate. The second way that we can actually recruit these creators is through ads. Now, I don't want you to get too caught up on ads if you're a new beginner, because it's really not something to get too caught up on, and it can be very, very expensive. And it kind of relates back to the Instagram in the sense that if you're using Instagram ads to a page that's got no social proof, poor posts, no interest, then it's not going to work. If you've got all of those things that we need for Instagram outreach, great page, loads of social proof, cool photos, interesting life, lots and lots of social proof through people following you in the industry, well, running off some ads might actually make sense. But ads are something that are so difficult to sort of just say, this is what you're going to do, because it's so dependent that really don't stress too much about the ads. Get the basics right with Instagram outreach first. And then the third way that we can recruit is actually through referrals. Now, ultimately, these are the best. These are your absolute go-tos, because if you've got a referred lead, it's already hot. Forget a warm lead, it's hot because the framing has already been done. You don't have to pitch your service because they are pitching to you. They want to work with your management and you're almost interviewing them. You're making it feel like they've got an opportunity to work with you. They're super lucky and they should take advantage of that. It's less of a pitch of you should work with me and more of a pitch of will I let you work with me? And that completely changes the dynamic, and it means that you've almost guaranteed the sign up. So you've basically closed the deal before you've even had a chat with them, and it just allows you to kind of vibe and dig into some of the more interesting things, build a relationship that secures the deal. So you haven't got to worry too much. And that means that this is a very hot lead and a very great strategy for recruitment. Now you might think, how can I go about referrals? I've only got 1 or 2 models. Well, you can incentivize them. You can say, look, there's going to be a cash incentive here. You can remind them that ultimately they're helping themselves because they're going to receive maybe, 5% of the account earnings. You can remind them that you're going to benefit, which is a great help, and you're super grateful, and you'll return the favor by putting lots of time and effort into them. And you can remind them that their friend or whoever they're referring is going to benefit too. It's kind of like a mutually beneficial exchange. Everybody wins. So you can pitch that as like a, hey, bring some referrals in, it will work for everybody. And that's going to be really, really good because you're going to have hot leads that are easy to sign. It's going to be great for the creator because you can offer referral after referral after referral, and they kind of just snowball from there. And lo and behold, you don't even need to Instagram outreach if you don't want to. And really that sums up recruitment very, very nicely, because we now understand exactly how to go about finding the perfect creator and what that consists of, but also how to actually go out there and find them.